Hello, hello. Alam na naman, nandito na naman po kami. Cdc Ph, it's a nice Saturday morning dito sa Amerika. And alam ko, gabi din sa Pilipinas. But magandang gabi sa buong Pilipinas. Ano ba yan, Francis? It's not apari to hulo anymore. It's tawi-tawi to something Batanes. Well, saan man po kayo naroon sa Pilipinas, magandang gabi. At dito naman sa Amerika, kahit saan kayo, wherever you are, good morning. It's a very beautiful Saturday morning here. I can see the sun coming out. I have my trees in front of me. I can see them on the window. Okay, so Super Sally, are you on?
Hi.
And
Yes, I'm on.
you just come in late.
I'm
They're coming on.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm on, but I'm driving. So hello everybody. I'm gonna sit in and I'll join in as I can.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna have a very interesting presentation tonight. We might not say very long, but the first what do you call this? First segment of the presentation were very interesting. And then the second segment, if the audience or the viewers have questions, we will be happy to answer them. Okay? So, Francis, let's just go through the usual stuff here. So, yeah, CDC Ph Weekly Huddle, September 7, 2024, 8 p.m. Diyan po sa Pilipinas. Oh, dito rin wala pa na pala tayong difference when it comes to yung sa oras. Oh, ayan, may mga pumapasok na sa I think it's in Facebook, and that's very interesting. People are starting to come in. So magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ayan, no? Si Pora Dolorosa, ayan si Teso, andyan parati. And also Vittorio, nandyan din siya, si Jervy, Lucky, and then, ito si Julio, si CV, parating nanonood dyan kahit ano. Okay, so next slide. Okay, we have the CDC Ph 5-point agenda. I'll be doing this because Super Sally cannot see the slides or cannot read them, right, Super Sally?
Yes, I cannot safely read the slides while I'm driving, so I'm gonna leave it up to Doc Vic.
Okay, be careful, okay?
I'm driving carefully. All good.
Yeah. All right, this is the CDC Ph 5-point agenda. Number 1, yes to freedom of speech and open access to all information to achieve genuine informed consent. That's very important. We've been fighting for this. Yes to individualized healthcare as it is the best form of medicine. There's no such thing as universal healthcare, as each person is unique. The sanctity of doctor-patient relationship must remain inviolable, and medication and treatment must always be based on individual cases, not on a one-size-fits-all basis. Yeah, this is very important. Again, we've been fighting for this because the medical tyranny was very obvious during the pandemic, even up to now. And we were censored heavily. We, as doctors, especially during the pandemic, we couldn't say anything against the narrative. Third one, yes to respecting natural immunity, and this is very important too. From natural infection, when viruses and other infectious agents evolve, the human immune system adapts. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, ayan, may mga nanonood pa. More people are coming in. Magandang gabi po yung mga sa Facebook o nakikita ko nanonood. I cannot answer to them. Nandyan si Edith o si Joanna, si Elmer, and then si Marian, meron dito si Happy. Okay, good evening sa inyong lahat. Si Marlon din. Oh, good evening sa inyong lahat and thank you so much for joining us tonight. And note mandatory vaccination, medication, and treatments most especially for children. Medical treatment and option are each person constitutionally guaranteed individual choice, not the government. Yan po, huwag magdikta dapat ang gobyerno. What we want to do with our body is our own right, our own business, okay? So huwag kayong magpapadala na mga mandate na naman yan pagkatapos nagkakan namatay-matay. Okay, the last one, no to globalized, centralized health regulation dictating medical intervention. Ito po yung WHO, di ba? Wala namang ano. Di naman sila elected, but they're the one dictating what's gonna happen and what we have to do, or in terms of how we treat our people or what medication to use. And the best example of that is the mandated COVID vaccine, which was a disaster, a global disaster. No?
Yeah, and it's
Government's
more an
job is to
ongoing disaster.
protect its people and not to submit to them to the wishes of unelected foreign corporation and agencies. Yung isa pa, WEF din. Isa pang pakialamero yun. Okay, so that's the 5-point agenda. And next slide, Francis. Okay, we just want you to join. We're inviting everyone. We still have the Viber group, which is the Flatten the Fear. This has been in existence for a long time. So paki-ano na lang po, kuha ng picture, just follow this QR code and it's going to bring you to the group, to the page, or yeah, to the group of Flatten the Fear, which is the very original group of CDC Ph in Viber. Napakarami pong ano dito, miyembro na, and it's amazing the discussion. I cannot keep up with this group. I'm just watching, but everybody is
Yeah,
doing it.
I think there's about 5,500 members in the group. So it's really very active.
Yeah, they're very, and there, a lot of people are posting a lot of interesting things. It's just as it's really a lot. I mean, you don't look at it for a couple of days, 3 days. Literally, there are like several hundreds posted, even like 1,000 or something. Okay, next slide. Okay, our PPMH, which is under the leadership of Dr. Del Mundos and Del Mundos. This is the organization or out of CDC Ph. This was organized to help the vaccine injured people, and so they're helping a lot of people, and they're also very active, of course, in social media. They already have their own Zoom meeting, and I think just recently, no, yeah, just recently, I think a few days ago, they had a replay or a rerun of the Cancel the Cancer, right? And which was online or streamed for the first time. I think that was a couple months ago. So that was a very good. I actually did the opening remarks on that uh, online program or online seminar, and it's very good. I was listening to the speakers, and they were talking about cancer, what we can do now, and what are the other things that can be done, and how to diagnose aside from using the standard. chemotherapy in the mainstream. So pumunta po kayo doon. I don't know if stayed online or probably it's on Rumble. I'm not 100% sure. But go to the page of PPMH is on Facebook, and probably they posted it there. But I think it's a very good program. It's an excellent program, I should say. And kailangan pong manood kayo sa Pilipinas because napakaraming informations that are really practical and very helpful, and you can actually do it yourself. Ayan, marami pang pumapasok ulit ng mga manonood. Paul Bell, Dimsum, Romeo, Jane, yun, may mga Tech or Mendones. Okay, yan po ang PPMH. Next slide, Francis. Okay, this is just to inform everyone where we are streaming. So we are live on 8 social media platforms now. Wow, Francis, di ko yan alam ha. Nasa Juan Daquila, the Juan Daquila, we cannot thank them enough for always hosting us at pag-aampon po nila sa amin. So on Facebook, we have Juan Daquila all the time. Uh, this group, I'm amazed because they haven't been censored or they were never taken down all this time, as opposed to CDC Ph. I think we were taken down 3 times, and it was so discouraging and frustrating. But may maganda po kaming anunsyo tonight. And then Lunas Filipinas, they also have the Facebook page, and they're also streaming us in that page. And then, of course, we have my account on X. It's always, yeah, we're streaming there too. And then another X account, which is actually the CDC Ph. And then the other ones, oh, Lunas Filipinas has YouTube. Oh, that's excellent. Probably CDC Ph could also open the YouTube again. So we will see.
Yeah,
And then CDC
YouTube is,
Ph
yeah,
Rumble. Yes, Ali.
yeah, the YouTube has been censored. The last time we had a live cast, it was taken down. So YouTube is still not reliable. But X is
Oh, good.
okay. And Facebook, we shall see after our
Oh,
news tonight.
so you heard that. It's still not reliable.
No,
we're
YouTube
still
is not okay.
we're still endangered.
Yeah,
Well,
the censorship is still strong.
yeah. But we keep on going, because that's
Absolutely.
what they want to do, to silence us and stop talking. But we won't do that. Never ever do that. Okay. CDCPH Rumble, Lunas Filipinas Rumble, and I don't know what this is, on air webinar. So this is something new. Francis will explain that to me. But this is very good that we're actually on 8 social media platforms. Whatever we are doing, then we are being documented and being recorded in all this social media platforms. And so, if whatever it is worth, then we can always go back to all this uh, shows, and that we need information, we'd be able to say, okay, we discussed that at this time. Go to Rumble, go to One Tequila. So follow us in all these social media platforms because that's where you're going to get a lot of information that you usually will not get in the mainstream. And at this point, I'm actually, Sally, I'm already at this point that I don't care what the mainstream media is actually saying,
I
because
haven't watched mainstream. I haven't watched mainstream media for years. I get my news from X and also
yeah.
from Substack.
Okay, so do we have the next slide? Sally, I'm going to, what do you call this? Just tell you what's on. If you can't see the slide being presented, then I will just show you. So this
Yep.
is the announcement. Oh, but Francis already put it there. The Cdc Ph is again and finally back on Facebook page. We have, I mean, Facebook. So we have our Facebook page again. I actually invited a lot of people to join and like this. And I was amazed that people are just jumping in. I think I invited, I don't know, more than 100 people. And my notification was so full last night. So for those people I invited, and you guys are actually coming in to like the page and be the follower of the page again. Thank you so much. And I promise you, I'm going to invite a lot of people again. And then I just tested. I invited, no, I think I invited to be exact, 104 people. I think that was that. So, pumunta po kayo, CDCPH Facebook page is very much alive again. And the followers are like increasing exponentially, because I was in the first few hours more than, like 200 right away. So thank you so much for coming in, or for liking and follow, being followers of the page again. And yeah, Juan Daquila, yeah, they're announcing us as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Maraming salamat po. Okay, so marami nang nanonood sa Facebook din, no? Even Lunas Filipinas is watching. Sila Eddie, I just wanna mention V, Celia, Jassy, and who else? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, ng malaking, let's keep standing. Yeah, that's, yeah, paki-spread nyo na lang. Jassy, that's good. That's a very good idea, of course. That's exactly what we're trying to ask you guys. Spread the news and like and share, right? Like and share. So, Sally, what do you think about CDCPH going back on board with Facebook?
I think this is excellent, and we're going to see if Mark Zuckerberg keeps his word. Because the reason we're back on Facebook is because Mark Zuckerberg has admitted that he was pressured by the US government to censor everybody. And now that he's made that admission, we're coming back on Facebook to see whether the censorship is going to be less or it's going to continue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's absolutely right. And so this is the proof that we are. I mean, it's coming around. We were censored heavily just because we didn't follow the narrative. Anything that goes against the narrative, that's what happens. But we are back, and so we will be posting a lot of information again on the Facebook page, from whatever issues from a different aspect of our society. And basically, this is one way, isang paraan din po ito para ma-monitor natin ang pinaggagawa sa mga mga officials or mga officers na lalo na sa healthcare, kung anong pinaggagawa ng mga yan, like Herbosa. And we know very well that the healthcare official sa Pilipinas, they're really in cahoots, very strong in cahoots with the WHO. They're even, and I apologize if I don't read all the headlines in the Philippines, because obviously I'm here in America and we have so many things going on here. And so, but what I focus on, ang pinag-aano pa is si Herbosa, because they're even begging the WHO to give them the monkeypox vaccine, which is kind of disgusting. Hey, you people in the Department of Health, what you're doing right now, what you're doing right now is disgusting. Anyway, so that's the big news. The Facebook page is definitely back, and that's going to be a source of information. And I hope and I will pray that they don't take us down again, because if they do, then that's going to be the fourth one. We're going to
We
be in a Guinness
will
Book
see.
World of Record. Yes,
That's
Ali.
all right. We will have our medal for Facebook jail.
Yeah. Oh, uh, the last time I was put uh, in jail, like I was put in jail by Facebook, was I think it was around 6 months ago. They put me in jail for like 3 months. But anyways, I didn't care. I just kept posting anyways. So what's the next slide, Francis? Next slide. Okay. Meron din po, ano to, may CDC Ph Facebook group din. So this is like having the flatten the fear, right? Where's Francis? He's not listening. But anyways, so you can also join there, and it's this is going to be like you can post your thing, and we discuss things again, and it's like the Viber group flatten the fear and something. So, anyways, you guys can also join this CDCPH Facebook group. So this is discussion. This is your uh, what do you call this? A chance that the where you we can discuss, pressing issues and all. It's not just like posting something, but you guys know you're a pro on this. We've been doing this already for the last 3 years or more. So just join, and then we'll have fun. And then you can also post question there, and whoever can answer the question will answer the question. I will try and keep up, but to tell you honestly, I can't keep up with all these things. All right, so Sally, that is the Facebook group on in terms of having like the equivalent of the Viber. Okay, shout out ulit ay mga mention ulit si Connie nandyan, Madeline, Flor de Lisa, si Oliver, si Ganji or Ganj, Danga, L, Charlene, Eva. Okay, thank you so much for coming in and watching us tonight. Gina, o ayan, nagsisidatingan na. Okay, I just want to, the next slide is about our disclaimer. The CDC PH is not an anti-vaccine, but anti-unsafe, ineffective, and harmful vaccine. Uh, Hashtag pro-individual health freedom. Alam niyo po, we need to emphasize this. And I think last time I also mentioned this, that the silver lining of the pandemic is actually we were able to look at what's wrong and what's going on with this vaccine industry. If they are labeling us as anti-vaxxer is because we're really looking at, tinitingnan po natin kung ano talaga ang nagagawa at anong nangyayari pag napakaraming bakuna ang kinukuha. You guys have to look into the um, result of the, may mga study na kasi na lumalabas lalo sa mga bata. The kids, every time I analyze and look at that, hindi po talaga maganda ang resulta ang nangyayari sa mga bata. Ang mga bata, biruin mo, ang chronic disease is supposed to be happening in the older population. Eh, ang nangyayari sa mga bata na, Napakaraming may chronic diseases. And what are they? Ang autism napakataas, ang asthma napakataas, ang allergy napakataas, at kung ano-ano pa. So, parents, I'm calling on you, mag-isip po kayo kung kung papabakunahan nyo pa talaga yung mga babies nyo. Lalo na yung COVID na yan, ha? Huwag kayong magkakamaling pabakunahan ng mga babies nyo, mga anak ninyo sa COVID eh. The COVID is definitely fatal, a very toxic vaccine. It's not even a vaccine, it's a gene therapy. Okay, so yan po ang number one na disclaimer namin. Hindi kami anti-vaccine, but you know, as I said, this is really the silver lining. For me as a practicing physician, this is the one that really opened my eyes na kailangan susuriin na natin lahat ng mga bakuna. Lahat, flu vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine, lahat po, okay? Number two, the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of the concerned doctors and citizens of the Philippines. For proper medical diagnosis of your condition, please consult your doctor. Totoo po ito, okay? Nagsasabi kami dito, but we have to say this kasi hindi namin alam lahat ang mga ano ninyo, ang mga medical issues ninyo. So it's always important to discuss your problems with your own physician. Kailangan mag-guide kayo, okay? O ayan, maraming umaano uli, nanonood. Christoph. I always look at the post of Chris. Rona, hi Rona. And Marilu, Jay, okay, thank you for watching and joining us tonight. Okay, next slide po. Next slide, Francis. Ay, wala si Francis. Sino pa? Sino pang, ayan. Ito lang, pa-plug lang namin again. And this is coming up. Ito yung namin, World Council for Health dito sa Florida. Ito yung upcoming detox, what do you call this? Detox and Wellbeing Fair. And we're doing it here in Florida, USA. This is the golf cart that we're going to be doing on September 29 as to raise awareness on this better way detox. And ito pong program na to, the detox program ay hindi lang sa vaccine injury. This will cover a lot of lang parang detoxification of all the toxins that we encounter in our daily lives. Okay, so that is our golf cart parade, and that is going to happen on September 29, which is a Sunday. Dito po yan sa the villages. I wish makaka-join kayo, but then probably I'm going to do a live coverage on that, and then just post it and see what happens because it's fun. Okay, so just wait for that. That is awareness golf cart parade again September 29. Next slide. At ito po naman po yung main namin, flyers namin. Dito kung if you're in Florida, you are a US resident or you live here in America, then you can either come and join us in person, and or you can buy your tickets to watch it the live stream online. So this is our WCH Florida Detox and Well-Being Fair. Ang gaganda po ng ang dami na namin. We have so many guest speakers here. Well, there are like 8 altogether. So it's going to be Saturday, October 12th. And so, ano nyo na lang ha, pakiabangan nyo. And then if you're in the Philippines or Asia, Nandito naman po yan ang QR code ha, magkaiba. So I hope to see all of you there because this is really uh, a star-studded, event, and I think the information that you're going to get from this, the information, talaga pong napaka-super, okay? Wow! Si Rona! Nag-promote siya. Super Rona ka. Super girl. Okay, Rona De Vera, thank you so much for doing that for us. Okay. All right, the next slide naman. So we have these are the people that we're gonna be having in the program, and they're gonna be doing live. Okay, these speakers are not gonna be doing it by video. Dr. Tess Flory from UK, everybody knows her. She's our godmother from World Council for Health. She's one of the organizer, original one. And then Dr. Corey, who doesn't know about Dr. Corey? Dr. Corey will be there. Um, what can I say? He's one of our heroes, right? He used to be with FLCC. He was the president of the FLCC, but now he's independent and he's actually practicing outside. I mean, he they're not allowing him to practice in the hospital because he's an ICU specialist. He's an intensivist, but because of all these things that happened in the pandemic, hindi na po siya allowed to practice in the ICU. But I don't know if he's trying to make one. The thing that happened to him is the IBM, the board of internal medicine, inalis po ang certification niya as a specialist. So, but it doesn't matter. We know what happened. We know what he did. He's our hero. He doesn't want to be called a hero, but I disagree with him. He was like saying, no, it's not being a hero, but he said, I was so naive. That's what he said. But anyway, shout out to Dr. Corey. You're still our hero. And I don't think you're naive, okay? But anyway, he has his own explanation. If you want to see what he was talking about, it's in his Substack. Okay, and the next one is Dr. Kimberly Biss. Super Sally, I'm just introducing all the speakers in the World Council for Health Detox. Kimberly Biss,
Okay.
yeah. Dr. Kimberly Biss is actually OBGYN. She testified in the Congress heavily about what's happening what do you call on pregnant women after vaccination. He has a very good data on what happened to pregnant women, the babies, and the very high what do you call this miscarriages that's happening after the vaccine. The next one, the fourth one is Dr. Christoph uh, Plate. He's a practicing doctor in Germany. He's one of our senior steering committee in World Council for Health, and he is very good in discussing really toxicity about everything, toxicity in the environment, in the food, and uh, in in anything on people. And I think his topic is about metabolic health. So food, it's about food. What kind of toxicity the food these days are giving us. Okay. So next slide, Francis. Okay, our very own Dr. Alan Landrito will be with us. So he's going to be presenting. Obviously, we'll be discussing about ivermectin. I have to discuss with him, and IV chelation. I want him to discuss that, and high dose IV vitamin C, which both of us are using, and yours truly. Hindi ko pa po alam ang aking topic, but most likely I'd like to explain most likely the reason why we have to do detox, all of us. Dr. Amir Haddani, he's a neurosurgeon. He's actually uh, uh, he's the chief researcher in there's a big practice or hyperbaric oxygen therapy place here in the villages, and it's very big. It's I think one of the biggest hyperbaric oxygen therapy place where you can go, and they are treating a lot of the post-COVID syndrome, long hauler, and they don't want to admit it yet, but there are more vaccine injured complication or the long vaccine that they're actually treating, because some of my patients are going there as well. So that's Dr. Amir Haddani, a neurosurgeon. So he's going to be talking on neurotoxicity. And then Dr. Joseph Ladapo. So you people know Dr. Ladapo. He's our Florida Surgeon General. Chances are he's just going to send us a message. I asked him to do an opening remarks, even on video. He was the one who first recommended in the US or in the world not to vaccinate young men because the rate of myocarditis was very high after the rollout of the vaccine. So siya po ang aming Surgeon General dito sa Florida. So I also had a chance of sharing the stage with him when uh, when he had he introduced his book, his newest book. If you search it, it's about public health. Next slide. At ito na ang last. Siguro alam niyo kung sino si Dr. Trosi. Dr. Trosi, again, is one of our senior steering committee. He is assigned or in charge, the lead in Canada. So Dr. Trosi, and I think if he's going to give a talk in person, I think he's going to be touching on monkeypox or these other pandemics that they're trying to make a big gimmicks of. Okay, and this is Dr. Kusek. He's an emergency room physician. I think he's going to be our master of ceremony. Miss Rosa Maria, she's going to discuss about like energy medicine and the use of sound. I keep on saying he, not Dr. Q said, she's been, or she was rather, a former NASA engineer. So uh, she's going to be doing a workshop on it. Miss Rachel Graham or Graham, she is a alternative or holistic nutritionist. So she's going to be discussing about food as medicine. And Miss Barbara James, she's also one. She is a podcaster here in Florida. She's also on nutrition, a PhD or master on nutrition. She's using nutrition or food as an anti-aging agent. So that's so far. That's our um, the speakers, a roster of speakers for the World Council for Health, Detox, and Fair, WCH Florida. So abangan po ninyo, okay? We have other speakers that I'm trying to get, pero hindi pa po sila nagko-confirm. Okay? Okay, Francis, next slide. That's a lot of plugging. And then this one also, this is under the Children's Health Defense. and this is the movie that they made entitled "Authorized to Kill." This is a movie discussing all the vaccine injury, and we're gonna have a screening on September 18 at 7 p.m. And obviously, that is here in Leesburg, Florida. I'm gonna see if we will be if we could actually put this online so that everybody can watch. But I don't know yet if I can put this online. Okay, next slide. Ayan, ayan na.
Yes, this is
Sally,
Zuckerberg. Yes, what we just said. Zuckerberg has admitted his crime. He gave in to pressure from the US CDC and the US government to censor everybody.
Uh, absolutely, and I cannot overemphasize it. This is a big win for free speech, and Sally, I hope there's no hidden agenda um, under this. But
There's certainly hidden agendas everywhere. But the fact that he has admitted publicly that he gave in to censorship is a good thing because now people understand. Even people who were blissfully unaware, maybe they will also begin to understand what was happening.
yeah, so just imagine all the information that uh, you guys or the public should have known. We were heavily censored. We were heavily censored, especially like the practicing doctors, because we were seeing the actual cases and what's happening in the field, the frontline doctors here in the US, and we were all censored. I was part of the front line, but the CDC Ph was actually one of the outlets. I'm really very happy that we have CDC Ph. And I'm very proud that I'm part of this group. So the highlight of this is we want to emphasize to you guys that because of this, we revived the CDC Ph page, and we have a very good chance of keeping it online. Yeah, we still have to pray. I don't know, because sometimes they haven't completely cleared the area, because there are certain I could see some of the people posting, like um what's the name of that guy, Kumin or something. Some of his posts are still being brand or yeah, he would post it and it disappears, and it usually says, the usual thing is this is not according to the community standard. But I think it's going to disappear if he is really sincere um, on what he said. Then this censorship should go away, and we should be able to talk freely and post the things that we think are important or relevant to the ongoing problems. And even if it's against the narratives that they're pushing all the time. Okay, so next slide. Next slide. Uh, Sally, can you see this slide or no?
I'm still driving. I'm
Oh,
still
you're still
driving.
driving. Okay.
Yes.
So basically, this slide, it has again the picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and this was actually posted by James Deacon. And then I think this is, what is this, Francis? This is from X. So basically, the person who posted this says that my Facebook account was suspended and shadow banned 3 times. Well, it sounds familiar, right? But what I like about his post is the fact And oh, he said also, I was labeled a COVID denier and an anti vaxxer, a conspiracy theorist. We all were branded or labeled like this, no? Those were the days. And now, if we are branded like this, then we don't care, no? We just keep on talking.
Yeah,
And
although for some people this is a big deal because people like James Deacon will lose their sponsorship because his income comes from his online presence. And then if he doesn't toe the line, his sponsors will disappear. So, you know, he's really, his work is on the line.
yeah. Okay, so you guys just read the rest of what he's saying, but Sally, he enumerated. Here are just some of the things that got me countless other people suspended and removed from the platform for posting anything that suggested the following. Number one, natural immunity was a thing. So he's saying that if he discussed about natural immunity, he gets suspended, which is true. No?
Yes,
And then vitamin D help the immune system. So ridiculous. So these are the things, no? Number three, vaccines were experimental, which the vaccine, which is a COVID vaccine, no, were experimental. Were actually experimental. It was under emergency use authorization. The vaccine had harmful side effects. You know, we got suspended for that. That's how we were taken down, the Facebook page of CDC Ph. Sally, were you also taken down or suspended or?
I had a few short suspensions, but I managed to work the algorithm, so I didn't ever get permanently suspended. But
Okay.
I did block. I did block a few thousand fact checkers.
Okay. Yeah,
Literally.
yeah. It's like it's for everybody. The vaccine, this is another one that you get suspended for. The vaccine did not stop the transmission, which was a big lie. This is like a very big lie. It will stop on you if you get the vaccine. Remember those people, the famous, the faces that I always see when I talk about or when we talk about transmission, stopping the transmission. Of course, number one face that I always remember is like Fauci. No, he's the number one. Dr. Walensky, which was the CDC director at that time, and uh, that MSNBC uh, newscaster or reporter. What's her name? Maddow. You know, the one with the long neck and all. And you have to go back to her video. It's ridiculous, but whatever. And then who else? There, I can remember the faces, but I
In the
can't remember the
Philippines,
names.
we had Dr. Letton, Dr. Salvana, we have
Oh yeah, in the
Vegeta,
Philippines. In the
all the
Philippines. Yeah.
Filipino, all the Filipino people who were pushing the wall of immunity. Remember that wall of immunity? That was being pushed right up to the 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. And but now they're just kind of quiet. Yeah, Salvania, Lechon, who else?
Oh, they've been recycled for monkeypox, by the way. They
Yeah.
have a special committee on infectious diseases with Lechon and Savannah.
Yeah. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
saying, but he's that Savannah is a big joke. That guy is a joke, you know. He's a big joke. Okay, children don't need the vaccine. You know, we were telling people, right, that the children don't need the vaccine because for one thing, they are the lowest, they have the lowest risk, and they usually don't get the infection of the COVID.
And
And
when they do, they don't normally get sick, right? They
yeah,
usually have a very mild illness or none at all.
Yeah. You guys have to remember the kids, the children, the reason why they were not getting the infection. One of the reason is they don't have well-developed ACE2 receptors. So the virus doesn't have anything to latch onto to infect the cells of these young kids. And the only group of, or the population of kids that were susceptible somehow was the immunosuppressed or any or immunocompromised children, and those were the ones that we were emphasizing that you should, protect those immunocompromised or immunosuppressed children. But anyways, they still vaccinated the kids, and to tell you, the kids are having. Where did you see kids having heart attacks? It's ridiculous, and having stroke. Um, okay, the other area that we were uh, canceled for was like masks don't work. So every time you say masks don't work, you're taken down. Okay, masks don't. Lockdowns don't work. Oh my God! Remember the three scientists, including Bhattacharya, and I forget the name of the other one, but there are like three of them from Stanford, from Harvard, and from there was the third one, but there were three of them, and then Fauci actually labeled them as fringe scientists or doctors. And then now, Bhattacharya is really very loud about what happened, and he actually who did he sued the I think it's the government. We have to go back there, and you can watch his discussion on how the U.S. government actually, or the healthcare authorities here in the U.S., how they approach the pandemic and what was wrong. So everybody's talking about that, but they were heavily censored, no? And what's the other one? COVID came from laboratory, the famous one. Anytime you talk about COVID coming from Wuhan, escaping from Wuhan lab, then you will be censored heavily. It's going to be taken down right away. Even the comments. And now, well, they discussed it. They had a hearing, a big one in the U.S. Congress, and everybody, if you listen to that, and you guys should go back, because they put, who did they put, the Eco Health person, Sally, who was that, the Eco Health Alliance, Eco Health research, the British guy.
It's not Peter, not Peter Hotez.
Say it again.
It's not Peter Hotez. Is it Peter Hotez or is it someone else?
Peter Odette is the new CDC. No, not him. The Eco Alliance, the one who received the money. Uh, uh, to he was the one receiving the money to be funneled to China. I forgot his name, but anyway, he was the one um, who Fauci used to give the money to the Chinese. It has to go through that organization. And the last one, the PCR test. If you criticize the PCR as being inaccurate or should not be used to diagnose COVID, you'll be taken down. And that's actually one of the things how they how they duped us into thinking that there are really so many cases of COVID because they were doing a high cycle of this PCR. So you can detect anything if you do it that way. Uh, to um, to make it more accurate, you should be doing the cycle of the PCR only up to 28 or no more than 30, and they were doing 45. So obviously, you would be able to detect anything, and so that's how the number of cases of COVID really increased astronomically because of this PCR that they're using. And you have to remember the inventor of the PCR actually said that you are not supposed to use PCR to diagnose infection or to diagnose disease. But that's exactly what they did.
And
So,
they're doing it now for monkeypox. They're also using PCR for monkeypox.
yeah, can you believe that? Sally, they're doing exactly the same thing.
It's rinse and recycle, rinse and recycle. So, we have to tell everybody, do not comply. Do not believe what you are told. You need to be a critical thinker now.
Oh, yan. Naririnig nyo, parehong-pareho po ang ginagawa nila. COVID, monkeypox, or whatever it is that they are trying to introduce, kung ano mga viruses. So, they're using PCR again to diagnose monkeypox. So, napakataas. Eh sana, igawa nilang standard kung talagang gano'n. PCR dapat hindi lalagpas ng 28 cycle. But anyways, so these are the reason why we were censored and we were taken down and we were put in jail on Facebook because of all this reason. And these are practical things and these are scientific. You have to question. And then they're saying, oh, we have to follow science. And then the first one who are like doing the hanky panky and the hocus pocus of all these things, to kill science.
Yeah, well, it is the Fauci science. The Fauci
Oh,
science, which is the false science, because Fauci's science is whatever he says it is. It doesn't mean it's true.
oh, that's right. He said, if you, this is what he said, if you criticize, right? If you criticize what I
Yes,
say or something, you are criticizing science. So that in essence, he was saying, I am science.
I
Fauci.
am I am the science. This is 1984, where the government tells us exactly what they want us to think, and they rewrite the narrative.
Oh, that's exactly what he said. I am the science. It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The science. Okay. So you guys have to remember these are the things that we were supposed to know ahead, at the early stage of the pandemic. And we were all talking about this. And even up to now, like let's say the vitamin D and any disease, you should have a vitamin D. You should have it in good levels, good, you know, levels in your blood. And when the pandemic was ongoing in New York, the people who were dying were old, very deficient in vitamin D, mostly males. Yeah, because during that time they actually, did an analysis. The highest mortality was on old male with deficiency, with vitamin D deficiency, with what else? No hormone and blood type A. Yun. The people dying, the highest mortality are males, old, without hormone, the deficient in vitamin D, and then blood type A. And the strongest one is a female who usually doesn't get infected, a female, a blood type O, good vitamin D, and with hormone, which is exactly the opposite. Okay, and blood type O, the female. Okay, next slide, Francis. Francis is okay. Sally, what Francis is showing here is the Pinas Lagas. Can you see that?
Yes, the Pinas Lagas,
Yeah,
Derek Mendoza's work. And he has a video here. It's a
yeah.
presentation.
Are we playing that or we're just going to be reacting to that? This is a very good, I think, it's a very good video, but it's very
Yeah,
sad. The first
yeah,
time I watched this, it's very sad.
yeah. I think we could watch it. It's not very long. And then anyone who wants to get a copy, you can find this on Derek Mendoza's Facebook page and also on our Platinum Fear Viber group.
Yeah, I think are we gonna play this or we'll just encourage people to watch it, to go back because it's online and Sally, this actually one of the things that corroborates with all your statistics in the Philippines,
Correct.
right?
Correct. And the statistics are ongoing. The 2000, I have a presentation for next week, not this week. The 2023 data is still incomplete, but if we look at the NCR, the deaths in 2023 are already higher than 2022, meaning that the situation is still getting worse, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Are we supposed to be playing this or we're just gonna continue?
Francis?
Withdrawing its COVID
Here we go.
Okay.
vaccine worldwide. The withdrawal comes months after AstraZeneca admitted dangerous side effect causing blood clots and low platelet counts.
So, kung siya ay experimental, how can we be sure of that this is safe and effective? Kasi sa resolution po niyo exactly nakalagay dito. Safe and effective siya. That's why we issued resolution number 148-B.
Vaccine maker AstraZeneca, the company is withdrawing its vaccine from the markets. AstraZeneca admitted that the COVID Shield vaccine can cause blood clots.
Ang isa pang mabigat na issue that we need to tackle about it is yung pong yung tinatawag na immunity from liability. Kasi immune sila in accordance with Section 8 of Republic Act 11525. Lahat ng mga manufacturer, wala silang liability kung magkakaroon man ng adverse effect yung mga vaccines. And it's happening. 113,000 were recorded by FDA. FDA, am I right? As an FDA. FDA, am I right that there is an adverse effects after immunization of 113,000 plus?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I confirm.
And there's serious side effect of 10,000 plus? Diba, according to your submission?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's correct. And if that is correct, that there is a 113,000 of adverse effect after immunization, then the immunity from liability that is written in Section 8 of Republic Act 11525 is somehow need to be amended. Kailangan talaga natin ma-amend na dapat meron silang responsibility.
World of Health, British pharma giant Oxford AstraZeneca is now withdrawing its COVID-19 vaccines globally. According to a report in The Telegraph, the vaccine can no longer be used in the European Union. That its vaccines, which causes blood clots and low blood platelet counts.
Kung makikita mo yung graphing nyo, yung other causes of death, na pagka laki-laki, pagka haba-haba, wala naman nakalagay dyan kung ano yung mga causes of death.
Yun po yung mga tinatawag nating ill-defined
Yung mga tinatawag nating
hindi mga coded po na hindi may paliwanag
na hindi may paliwanag na kamatayan.
2020, early 2021, we've seen increased risk for the brain blood clot, and also we did see the increased risk of myocarditis and pericarditis with the mRNA vaccines. They are the ones made by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. There were some other interesting findings as well. Guillain-Barré syndrome was shown to be an event of concern linked to mostly to the Oxford AstraZeneca virus vector vaccine. Other aspects of vaccine injury that has been noted in the past, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, that's this increased heart rate that has been noted in relation to vaccines, though researchers have also seen it in a higher frequency associated with SARS-CoV-2 infection. So while the vaccines were known to be associated with this problem.
So, makikita po natin dyan, no? Is this true?
That's accurate.
Accurate po yan. So, galing po sa inyo yan. Sa lahat ng ito, sa pinakita nyo, na binabasa ko, para lumalabas during the 2021, lahat sila tumaas yung mga namatay. Di ba? Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, how can you explain this? On your side, can you explain this?
Recently, AstraZeneca had admitted in court documents that its COVID vaccine can lead to some rare side effects.
Unfortunately, those people who have died unknowingly, hindi natin alam, tapos yung effects. And doon sa PSA that I have seen, even 2022 and 2023, yung excess deaths natin, mataas pa rin. It's more than the usual 5%. As a matter of fact, mga nasa above, I think, 20% pa rin tayo. So, somehow, you can have the correlation. Of course, we are being worried, ano? Kasi yung mga namamatay is so young and active. Yung iba, mga athlete pa, biglang natutumba. So,
worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect.
Can you kindly tell us, kasi meron na naman namatay na PNP na it just was reported to me that a 41-year-old or something na bata yung namatay. So, di ba mga namamatay na mga PNP natin that because wala naman daw reason, bigla na lang namamatay, basketball, tapos gano'n.
It is admitted that the AstraZeneca vaccine can cause TTS. The causal mechanism is not known, quote unquote. Now, for those who do not know, TTS is short for thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. It involves the formation of blood clots and a fall in the platelet count. The blood clots can appear in the brain or abdomen. There are claims that people have been diagnosed with TTS after taking the jabs.
Kasi ang dami kong, lagi ako naghihiring sa mga pulis Sinasabi nila yung mga namamatay Pag tuwing naghihiring kami, lagi may report sa akin may namamatay. Baka maubusan tayo ng PNP yan. Kasi dito meron na, ito, kapadadala lang sa akin kanina umaga Namatay daw siya, nagkomatos siya, nagpanyuro siya kahapon, tapos suddenly bumaksak, nagkomatos, tapos namatay kanina umaga. So young.
Which causes blood clots and low blood platelet counts. AstraZeneca told the court that it can cause clots in the kidney.
The one that I autopsied is from Bureau of Fire, undergoing training and suddenly died due to myocarditis.
So
Bureau of Fire,
ilan taon siya?
BFP, around 30 years old.
No history?
Yes, no. Apparently cleared siya for medical because he was cleared for training. But
Yes.
during training, few days, he suddenly died.
Kasi ang mahirap dito kapag ang mga PNP na at mga military na inaapektuhan doon sa excess deaths, dumadami mga namamatay. Ang problem niyan ba, yung sa security natin, it will may domino effect What we're trying to imply here, Mr. Secretary, that there are so many people who are complaining, no, about the forced vaccination that was issued to all our people because of this resolution 148-P. Kasi nga, indirectly, we have forced our people to have vaccine. Because, why? Pupunta ka ng mall, pupunta ka ng school, you will not be allowed to enter. Why? Because you have no vaccine. Di ba? I think that is an indirect violation of Republic Act 11525. Because exactly, Republic Act 11525 are stating that there is no mandatory vaccination. And as a matter of fact, hindi makakaapekto yung vaccine card na dapat, hindi naman po siya nakalagay sa 11525 Mr. Secretary. This is somehow a violation of our fundamental rights in accordance with Article 3, yung ating basic rights for life, liberty, and property.
May mamili kayo, magpapakuna kayo o ipakulong ko kayo.
No vaccination, no ayuda.
Hindi na po pinasakay at ang mga pasaherong hindi pa bakunado. No bakuna, no classes.
Mga nagmamakaawa na mabakunahan at pilit pang inibulusot ang kamay sa harang rehas para lang makakuha ng numero sa bakuna.
We have to understand that these vaccines are only in their phase 3 trials.
We are consenting na part tayo sa experiment.
Kumbaga, sila mga guinea pigs. Sila mga guinea pigs.
Ayan. That was a very good video. Yan po ang nangyari sa Pilipinas and the what do you call who made that video for the somebody who made the video.
Derek Mendoza.
Hi, Derek. Thank you so much for making that. That's a documentation. It's a very good documentation of what happened. And balikan nyo na lang po yun. That was very good. And thank you so much on behalf of the Cdc Ph and all the other organization, Lunas Pilipinas. Maraming salamat, Derek. Okay, and keep up the good job, because that kind of videos, or it's a form of reporting, that is one way to document and actually, because that's a concise form of letting people know kung anong nangyari. Alam, kayo, yung mga nakikinig po ngayon, those people who are watching right now, alam ko na meron kayong mga kamag-anak, pwede mga kapatid, mga magulang who had died because of the vaccine, and up to now, if they're heavily or severely vaccine injured, they're still suffering. And hindi lang, we are really hoping that itong mga organisasyon natin, lalo na PPMH, can actually help you. You just have to reach out. Okay, ito po yung, this is the way na ibubulgar natin kung ano talagang nangyayari now. And it's very good that, the censorship is already letting up and we're able to say what we have to say. Yes, sir.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet if the censorship is letting up, because all over the world, governments are censoring. So we need to speak loudly. We need to be very careful not to forget what has happened. And we also need to put into place actions so that it cannot be repeated. So for everybody who thinks this is over, it's not. We still have a battle, and we still need to make sure. I know that in Cebu, they're looking at a medical choice bill, a medical choice ordinance. And I think that's a brilliant idea that maybe needs to be pushed by the concerned citizens for the entire country, whereby every single person is ensured of their right for personal, personal choice and bodily integrity and full informed consent without any form of coercion. So I think this is going to be the next thing that I hope that our group can together run with and lobby the government with, because we need to remember what happened and we need to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so that's what we need to work on now, as well as helping those people who have been hurt and moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The experience with the COVID pandemic is, is a blessing in disguise at the same time. I cannot overemphasize the silver lining of this pandemic, because if you look at the pandemic, it's like, horrible, all the horrible things that have happened. We keep on remembering, I'm not surprised that a lot of people are actually having PTSD. Alam niyo yung PTSD, yung post-traumatic syndrome. I mean, having the trauma during the height when people were dying, and it's actually being really exaggerated and so sensationalized to make you so fearful that to the point that you actually do everything or anything that they ask you to do because you're so fearful. So that was the pandemic that happened shortly after uh, they declared the COVID pandemic is the pandemic of fear, no? So don't let it happen again because they are trying to do exactly the same thing, especially with the monkeypox. You know, sa Pilipinas po, this Department of Health, which I think is very useless, healthcare authority, panawagan kay Dr. Herbosa, tumigil ka na. I mean, this monkeypox is really, you're going to kill people, a lot of people again with what you're doing. And wag na po kayong sumunod sa sinasabi nila. And just shout out to not Doctor, Attorney AC, Attorney Aaron. It's exactly the same thing that you have to do if they are trying to coerce you again na magpabakuna. May mga ano na po siya eh. We have to go through the same thing. You just have to review what Attorney AC or Attorney Aaron Sigalon, what he posted, what he said, is exactly the same way that you're gonna approach this, because none of these things should be mandatory. Okay, none of these things or none of these treatments should be imposed against your will and against your wishes. There's only one person who can decide what to take, what to put in your body, and that's you, nobody else. Not the doctors, not your neighbor, not your parents, and not the government, not the
Yeah.
healthcare authorities. So you
And
have to remember that and stick to that.
And not only that, is you must be given proper informed consent. Just telling you that it will prevent COVID and you might have a sore arm, that is not informed consent. That is not informed consent. So we need to ensure that all risks and all benefits, and we must never ever again accept an experimental product on the entire population.
Yeah. And you know what? The 10th dose or booster here in the US just got approved last week. And they're
Wow,
in
how many
UK.
people can survive? How many people can survive that? You know, I've just done the data for Singapore. Singapore is up to their, oh no, Hong Kong, sorry. Hong Kong is up to their 7th dose. And every single new dose, there's a spike in deaths. Every single new dose. I wrote about it on my Substack. It's unmistakable. And it's very sad.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on the 10th here. We're on the 10th in the US. No wonder we have more deaths than any, whatever. Oh no, 43% Philippines. That's very high. So
And our peak deaths are because of Janssen. We had a particularly bad batch of Janssen. I think if we hadn't had Janssen, our deaths probably would have been between 20 and 30%. It was Janssen that was really the kill shot, unfortunately.
Oh, so yeah, that's the. Oh my God, yeah, you said that. So Johnson and Johnson was the kill shot, the biggest one
In the Philippines. In the Philippines, yeah, we had about 6 million doses, but that vaccine in particular was associated with the deaths, a huge spike in deaths immediately that it was rolled out.
So if you guys want to know exactly the batch or the dose, I think, Super Sally wrote a very good article on that in the Substack. So you guys can go back there. What month was that, Sally?
It's a few months ago, but you just look, you can search on my Substack for the hottest lot in the universe.
Mm-hmm. But the good thing is, Yeah. The good thing with J&J is they pulled out, no? They already taken the thing off the market. They're taken off the market.
Too late for the people who took it, unfortunately. But the good side is that it seems that the people who had the immediate reaction, that was rather bad. But I have seen some discussion that there seems to be lower long-term reaction. So hopefully that will persist.
You know what? We have actually Sally has a very good video, which is Australia. Let's see. Let's keep on going, Francis, and let's see if we can also show that video because she just got it today, right, Francis?
Yeah, we just got it today. It's 22 minutes and it's very good. It's about the genetic modification case in Australia, but it's also relevant to everyone else. So it's 22 minutes. So we will take a rest, and you guys can watch this, and then we can come on and close up afterwards.
Yeah. So this is very good because this is about the GMO issue of the vaccine, and this just came out. So we're the first one. Sally just got this today. Okay. All right, Francis, if you want to start playing the truth.
This video presents facts which have been kept from the Australian public, concealed by the very authorities we trusted to protect us. We show that the harms of the COVID injections were never fully disclosed, and yet they were touted by politicians and health bureaucrats as safe and effective. This story will reveal how authorities abused their powers and robbed Australians of their civil liberties in what some have described as a crime against humanity. Several laboratories around the world have independently verified the presence of contaminating genetic material in the mRNA injections. The contamination levels are often found to be many hundred times over accepted limits. And the problem is global. Sample vials of Pfizer and Moderna, which have been sourced from Europe, Japan, the US, Canada, and Australia, have all been deemed contaminated. Kevin McKernan, a former research director for the Human Genome Project, was the first scientist to detect billions of DNA fragments in the vials. The fragments originate from the circular DNA plasmid that was used in the manufacturing process. In Pfizer's product, it included sequences related to the simian virus 40, or SV40. The presence of segments of SV40 is particularly concerning because it has a nuclear localization signal capable of facilitating the passage of these DNA fragments into the nucleus of cells, potentially leading to genetic disruptions and cancer. David Speaker, a molecular virologist, was the first to confirm contamination in mRNA vials sourced from Australia. He found the Pfizer vials were contaminated at levels 350 times above the TGA accepted limit, while the Moderna vials were 200 times above the limit. Various major regulators such as the US FDA, Health Canada, and Australia's TGA have all denied that the presence of these DNA fragments pose any safety risk, despite never having carried out any safety testing. Philip Buchholz, an expert in cancer genomics from the University of South Carolina, says if the fragments manage to integrate into the human genome, it can increase a person's risk of developing cancer or autoimmune diseases. He testified before a South Carolina Senate hearing about his concerns. Preliminary testing by McKernan has indicated that the DNA fragments in Pfizer's product can integrate into the genome of cells cultured in a lab. Now, studies are underway to assess whether the contaminating DNA fragments have been able to integrate into the genome of people who were vaccinated. This entire contamination scandal highlights the catastrophic failure in the regulatory process. The mRNA injections have always been referred to as vaccines, but the fact that they contain genetic material to prevent and treat disease means they meet the definition of gene therapies. According to the Cleveland Clinic, in gene therapy, genetic material is delivered to your cells and changes how your cells produce proteins. That's exactly how the mRNA injections are designed to work, and therefore should be thought of as gene therapies rather than vaccines. The genetic material is delivered to cells using a fatty substance called lipid nanoparticles. It protects the genetic material from being destroyed by enzymes and allows that material to be transfected or transferred into cells. Once inside the cells, the genetic material known as messenger RNA contains instructions for making spike protein, which exists on the surface of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Once people's cells become factories for making spike protein, the body can mount an immune response, and that means the person will develop protective antibodies in preparation for when they confront the virus in the real world. Health authorities told the public that the lipid nanoparticles containing messenger RNA would remain mostly in the arm after injection and only last up to 48 hours. That would be true if it was natural messenger RNA, which is normally highly unstable and would degrade in the body as soon as it is injected. But in developing these vaccines, researchers worked out a way to modify the messenger RNA and stabilise it using genetic engineering techniques, which is why it's sometimes referred to as modified RNA. And as a result, modified RNA doesn't degrade quickly in the body as we were told. In fact, biodistribution studies in animals showed the modified RNA wrapped in lipid nanoparticles could travel throughout the body and deposit in tissues like the spleen, bone marrow, lungs, testes, and ovaries. The manufacturers never tested whether this was toxic to our genes or whether it might cause cancer, nor did the regulators insist that the manufacturers carry out these tests before they were injected into humans. In turn, none of these uncertainties were ever communicated to people who received the injections, effectively denying them of informed consent and leaving them exposed to potential harms in the future. Gene therapies have held great hope in treating or curing many different health conditions, including cancer, sickle cell disease, haemophilia, and cystic fibrosis. But the field has been plagued with setbacks after catastrophic reports of people dying or developing cancer due to mutations in their genome caused by the gene therapy itself. That's why it's imperative that these products undergo regular testing, strict regulatory compliance, and continuous quality control monitoring to ensure their safety and efficacy as is required by law. Regulatory scrutiny is not just important, it's essential to safeguard public health. Compliance ensures that all safety standards and protocols are strictly followed, providing a layer of protection against the inherent risks of gene therapies. In Australia, The classification for what defines a genetically modified organism, or GMO, is based on the Gene Technology Act 2000, which defines a GMO as any biological entity capable of transferring genetic material that has been created through recombinant technology. The formulation of lipid nanoparticles with modified RNA designed to be transferred into cells also aligns with the legal definition of a GMO. Australia has always had a rigorous testing and regulatory approval process to ensure the safety of human gene therapies, but when it came to the COVID-19 injections, the normal safeguards in regulation were disregarded. In Senate hearings, it was revealed that neither Pfizer nor Moderna sought approval to use their products from Australia's Office of the Gene Technology Regulator. Interestingly, however, AstraZeneca did adhere to the strict regulatory framework outlined in the Gene Technology Act for its COVID vaccine. It applied for and obtained a GMO license, which involved a comprehensive risk assessment and months of public consultation. And it was this critical step that Pfizer and Moderna managed to bypass. The TGA denies these products contain GMOs, calling it misinformation. However, numerous scientists and lawyers agree the COVID mRNA injections fulfill the legal definition to be classified as GMO products under Australian law. In fact, the injections also meet the criteria under GMO laws in England, South Africa, and the European Union, and satisfy FDA guidance in the US for being understood as gene therapies involving GMOs. The GMO case, known as Dr. Julian Fidge versus Pfizer and Moderna, was devised by former barrister Julian Gillespie and was brought by the Federal Court of Australia by Katie Ashby Coppins of PJ O'Brien's and Associates, acting for Dr. Julian Fidge. Fidge alleged that Pfizer and Moderna failed to seek the necessary GMO regulatory approval and GMO licenses as per the Gene Technology Act 2000, and therefore filed for an injunction to prevent the manufacturers from distributing their mRNA products in Australia. It was argued that failing to obtain GMO licenses constituted a significant breach of regulatory compliance, possibly amounting to serious criminal acts. Essentially, Pfizer and Moderna were allowed to bypass crucial safety assessments and public consultations, as well as avoiding a thorough risk assessment that would have evaluated the potential serious negative effects, such as risks of altering a person's genome or increasing the potential for triggering diseases like cancer. And the fact that AstraZeneca complied with Australian GMO laws while Pfizer and Moderna did not raises serious legal questions about the integrity of the regulatory approval process in Australia. We know that Pfizer met with the Office of the Gene Technology Regulator in late 2020, which may have been when they were given the green light to bypass the GMO licensing process and proceed directly to the TGA for provisional approval. This alleged illegal circumvention of established regulatory protocols undermines the very principles and laws designed to protect public health and ensure the safety of medical interventions. Unfortunately, the GMO case of Fidge versus Pfizer and Moderna was dismissed by Justice Helen Rofe in the Federal Court in March 2024, after she ruled that Dr. Fidge lacked the legal standing, meaning that he was not aggrieved by the failure of Pfizer and Moderna to obtain GMO licenses. Upon closer scrutiny, public records showed that before Judge Rofe was appointed as Federal Court Judge in 2021, she provided legal counsel for Pfizer on at least 5 occasions between 2003 and 2006. Justice Rofe also has extended family ties to the Grimwade pharmaceutical fortune and professional ties in the field of medical research. These prior relationships were not disclosed during the proceedings, representing a serious conflict of interest, and raises questions about why Judge Rofe did not recuse herself from presiding over the case. For judges are duty-bound to disclose any potential or perceived conflicts of interest to maintain the integrity of the judicial process, and failure to do so undermines public confidence in the fairness and impartiality of the judiciary. Subsequently, a complaint to Chief Justice Deborah Mortimer has now been lodged by solicitors P.J. O'Brien's and Associates on behalf of Dr. Julian Fidge. It requests an investigation into Judge Rofe's decision to dismiss his case and asks that it be heard again by a new judge with no conflicts of interest. The dismissal has also left the substantive issues of the case unanswered and prevented the court from evaluating critical evidence, including the high levels of contamination and the potential long-term genetic risks. A copy of the complaint against Justice Rofe has been circulated to all sitting MPs and senators in the Australian Parliament. Under Section 72 of the Constitution, if there is any potential misbehaviour of a judge, the Parliament can investigate and may remove the judge if misbehaviour is proven. The reluctance of the Australian Department of Health and of the Office of the Gene Technology Regulator to acknowledge and address the issue of DNA contamination openly and transparently only adds to the growing mistrust. Gillespie and Ashby-Coppins have also presented this evidence to the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions and the Australian Attorney-General, both of whom have remained silent concerning the allegations of serious criminal conduct. The potential liability to the government is substantial. By approving these products without adequately evaluating the consequences of DNA contamination means the government may be held accountable for any adverse health outcomes. This liability could extend to regulatory bodies like the TGA and the Office of the Gene Technology Regulator for failing to uphold safety standards and protect public health. The phrase safe and effective was a mantra used by health bureaucrats and politicians, but it was clear from the outset these injections were rushed through clinical trials as part of Operation Warp Speed. The TGA only offered provisional approval, which by definition means there are limited data on safety, especially in the medium and long term. The lack of transparency about what was known and unknown has raised serious questions. Politicians and health authorities asserted that getting jabbed would keep the community safe because it would prevent infection and transmission. Only later was it revealed to the public that the manufacturers never even tested for transmission in the trials. Authorities nonetheless charged ahead with policies to mandate the injections based on a false premise. Several studies now demonstrate the extent of societal and individual harms caused by mandates, and notable politicians have begun apologising for the harsh policy. Authorities also claimed the mRNA injections were 95% effective at preventing serious disease and death, but this was misleading. Not only was there no decrease in deaths in the pivotal trials, the 95% statistic for preventing infection was based on a relative risk reduction. The absolute risk reduction, which is more relevant to the individual, was only about 1%. The claim that there was a pandemic of the unvaccinated was also false. Throughout 2021 and 2022, data showed vaccinated individuals were being infected and hospitalised at significantly higher rates than those who were unvaccinated. Fear-mongering was a feature of the nightly news. Doctors claimed young children were at significant risk of serious COVID-19. But the data actually showed that young, healthy children had an almost zero risk of serious disease. Authorities and professional societies also maintained that COVID injections were safe for use during pregnancy and breastfeeding. However, this advice lacked evidence. Pregnant and breastfeeding women were excluded from the pivotal clinical trials. And when Pfizer finally commenced these trials, they were abandoned due to a lack of participation. But this didn't dampen the enthusiasm of authorities who continued to provide baseless safety assurances to women during their most vulnerable time. The veil of deception has been lifted, revealing a stark reality. The Pfizer and Moderna injections, far from the conventional immunisations they were portrayed to be, are more like gene therapies that carry grave risks. Millions of Australians have been unwittingly subjected to experimental gene-based injections, and it appears our regulators have been complicit in failing to carry out the most basic duty of protecting the public. Every Australian has the right to be fully informed, but the true extent of harm has been kept secret, and Australians were denied the information necessary for giving legally valid informed consent to receive these injections. Government officers and regulatory bodies who ignored red flags, bypassed crucial safety protocols, and silenced critical voices must be brought to justice. We stand at a crossroads. Families who've lost loved ones and the large numbers of Australians who've died must not be forgotten. The path forward demands transparency, accountability, and an unwavering commitment to safeguarding public health. The voices of those injured must be heard, their experiences validated, and their suffering acknowledged. This is a call to action, a demand for justice, and a pledge to ensure that such a travesty never happens again. Let this be the moment we rise together, informed and resolute, to reclaim our health, our safety standards, and our trust in those responsible for keeping guard over the safety of therapeutic goods. For the sake of our future and the generations to come, we must not rest until every truth is uncovered, every wrong is righted, and those responsible are made to answer for what has been done.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that's very powerful.
Wow. Sally, that was very good. That was so good.
Yeah. I know. And this is a call to the Philippines too, because the Philippines followed mature regulatory agencies. The Philippines did not make its own decisions. And so anything that was done in Australia or the US or New Zealand or Europe, it's equally applicable in the Philippines because we followed them here.
Yeah, Sally, Like, let's say, for example, here in America, and I think I'm not sure if it's UK or Canada, um, these countries have exactly the same regulatory whatever regulation as Australia. But my question, and I think we discussed this issue a few months ago when Gillespie just started the case or something. He was actually um, interviewed by John Campbell when he was pushing the question on GMO. I think that was well, it was a few months ago. So that was my question. That was my question at that time. Remember, Gillespie was interviewed by John Campbell. That was a few months ago when this one was like, I don't know if Gillespie was just pushing it at that time or he just started the case. But the question was, do we have the same regulation in the Philippines or do we have any regulation at all? You know, that was my question. Because
Philippines has,
America, UK, and some European countries, they have exactly the same regulation as Australia. So it's like straightforward.
yeah, the Philippines has GMO regulations.
We do? Oh, okay.
Yes, and the Philippines had recently had a ruling. So I have to, I'm on two different.
As a
Can you hear me?
I apologize if I don't know because you know for those people who are just like listening to us this segment, I'm the Filipino and Sally is the Australian, but she's been living in the Philippines for the last I believe 28 years, right, Sally?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I left the Philippines when I was 18 or 20.
Okay, similar.
Yes, okay, so she knows more than I do. And if we have the regulation, so you guys, the people who are watching right now in the Philippines, um, and those people who are not Filipinos who are watching us right now, this show is like specifically for the Philippines, you know, because our audience are the CDC Ph is Filipino, but I'm not familiar with the regulation, the gene therapy regulation in the Philippines, but apparently we have some, but we just don't know the detail. But this is one way, one avenue that we can actually get these people who are very hideous and making us do things that we're not supposed to do. And um, there's nobody here in America doing or questioning that aspect of the vaccine, okay, of this gene therapy. We should call it really gene therapy because it's not a vaccine. So there's nobody that I'm aware of. The different states are actually suing Pfizer right now with what? What is the reason for going after them? It's for falsely advertising, no? That it's safe and effective. The very first one that sued Pfizer, the very first state here in the US is actually Texas, headed by the Attorney General. And then there's another state that just came out also suing Pfizer, is Kansas. And so, you know, it's a different approach, it's a different angle. But, oh, Canada is also suing. Yeah, there's also a group of lawyers in Canada suing Pfizer. suing Pfizer for the same reason. Or so they're the one who bought the pharmaceutical company were the first one to spread misinformation and disinformation about this vaccine. The vaccine makers, and so Canada, and then a few cases here in what do you call this in the U.S. And I'm also taking care of, or I'm helping some Canadian nurses who are actually suing also, who are suing Pfizer as well. And these are nurses who were gainfully and very active, gainfully employed by medical institution in Canada, and then after the vaccine, they just got completely disabled. They couldn't work, and one particular nurse actually is Seabird. She has all the she's on X, and she has all the complication that the I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if it's Pfizer that she's gotten. Well, I think it's Pfizer because she's one of the nurses suing Pfizer. So, Sally, are you there? Are you on?
Here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You were saying something. Please continue what you were saying about the gene therapy in Australia. But this is an excellent video or movie.
Yeah, it's worth sharing. In the Philippines, we do have gene regulation laws. I don't know, and they also have gene regulation laws around medications. And I'm very sure that the COVID-19 vaccines in the Philippines were not considered with respect to gene regulation. We've in the Philippines, we had a case against the GMO golden rice and also BT eggplant, which were both given cease and desist, I believe, based on.
Sally, you dropped.
Okay, yeah, I just dropped for a sec. So yeah, the BT eggplant. Oops, are we still here?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay, yeah. So I hope that there would be some people in the Philippines who might be interested in looking at this from the GMO perspective, because the Philippines really does have GMO laws, and maybe they would be applicable. We would need some experienced lawyer to look at that.
Yeah. So, Filipinas, especially the lawyers, I think, this is really one good avenue for you guys to look into. And then, so there are different aspects to this already, or different angles we can actually tackle this. So the misinformation or the false advertising that they have done, and then now with this gene therapy regulation. But I don't know if Pfizer or Moderna or any of these vaccine companies actually what do you call this, secured a license, because that was the big question. They didn't apply for that.
They didn't in Australia. So what they discussed is that AstraZeneca went for a GMO license, whereas Pfizer and Moderna didn't, and they should have. So it's actually good that AstraZeneca did, because now we have the contrast. So in the Philippines, of course, they didn't go for any mRNA. They didn't go for any GMO license in the Philippines.
Yeah.
They just went straight to the FDA, and they got emergency use approval with no questions asked, it seems.
Probably we should, Sally, we should send this to Kong Dan, no?
Yes. I can add this to we have a chat group that we can reach him, and I can send it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really, this is a very good point, and this is a very good angle. And even if we don't have exactly the same regulation on GMO, I mean, the Philippines between Australia, because I remember looking at it that really US, Australia, I believe it's UK. We have exactly the same regulation, exactly the same. And so here in the US, if somebody, picks this up, then they can also, what do you call this, start a lawsuit against this pharmaceutical companies when it comes to GMO regulation or gene therapy. But I think it's more complicated, to do that here. But, it takes a few people like to do this. So sa Pilipinas po, I don't know, we can discuss this with our lawyers, and it needs to be brought to the attention of Congressman Dan. Okay. All right. So, Sally, thank you so much for bringing that. And we have the documentation now, and first in CDC Ph. And actually, a lot of people are asking for the link, so
I shared the
probably,
link. I shared
yeah,
the link in the chat.
oh, there is. Okay, Francis can also post it, and from CDC Ph or probably from Lunas Filipinas and all
I
the
will,
other,
yeah,
platforms that we are using, then we can put it there, and from there you guys can share it. Okay. All right.
that's great.
So, do we have remaining slides before we see? Before we say.
So, God bless
We
and
say
good night.
bye-bye or good night for tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, this is Dr. Ben Marble. He's a good friend. He's a very good friend of mine, and he is obviously the one of the frontline physician, and he has his own group actually, and he is the one who um, was. Who organized the free doctors online at the height of the pandemic. He was the one doing a lot of consultation all over the U.S. and they've treated, I don't know how many. I'm pretty sure it was more than 100,000 that that they have treated during the height of the pandemic. And so we have a group chat with them. I have a group chat, or we have group chats here. And so just go to I posted it, or I shared his post on Facebook, and he is actually encouraging everyone or warning everyone not to take any of the vaccines, which at this point, um, I agree 100%, and that's making us the real anti-vaxxers now. But as I said, we don't care anymore.
Today or yesterday on the High Wire, they had a very good discussion with Aaron Siri talking about post-licensing studies on vaccines. And the thing is, there have been next to no studies on vaccines, any of them. So
yeah.
all of the studies, all of the pre-licensure studies before they license, they're so short that they cannot detect many signals or much signal of harm. And then after they license a vaccine, they do not have the funds to do any additional studies. So most of the vaccines that exist today have never undergone any comprehensive testing, meaning there is no such thing as a safe vaccine, unfortunately. And that makes us anti. No, we are pro safety and we are pro humanity, and we want to make the world population healthy again. We want to be healthy again.
Yeah, and this is precisely what RFK has been emphasizing, that he even asked Fauci, give me the data And in the beginning, Dr. Fauci, stonewalled him, and then eventually he came out saying, "I don't have the data to prove that these vaccines are actually safe and effective, or at least safe, because if we're going to give something, any treatment, okay, what's the worst thing can happen? It doesn't work or it doesn't do anything, but we have to make sure that it is safe. At least it's not going to kill you. But if you've proven it's not safe and it's also killing you, what the heck? It's not effective, and it's also killing you.
Well, it's a bioweapon. That is a
What the heck
bioweapon.
is that? Yeah. And so Dr. Ben Marvel, he's so vocal. He's actually very funny. He's composing a lot of songs, a lot of songs that have something to do with going against the narrative and all. And he doesn't have any break. He will say what he wants to say. And so, you see, he highlighted or capitalized all the complication from seeds to SIDS, SADS, abortion, spontaneous abortion, cancer, suicide, because everybody's getting depressed, and then clotting. This is a clot shot. So he's been advocating to stop the shot. Actually, he also made a big video recording all of us to say stop the shot, and that was last year, or the beginning of 2022, even, or mid of 2022. So anyway, so go to that's my personal account on Facebook, and I always post things there because that's where I don't care if they even censor me or put me in jail, and I'll just do whatever. I'll just post whatever. Okay, so next slide, Francis. I think we have a couple more or few more, and then we will. This is the statement from Dr. Pierre Corey, because at one point when Trump was saying, that you have to put some light in the body, and I think, he's talking about ultraviolet blood irradiation, but we are actually using the infrared light to treat the vaccine injured, or even in the long hauler as well. And so now it's coming out that President Trump just didn't know to explain it scientifically, because he sounded funny when he was suggesting that you have to use this light or infuse it, or infuse like a disinfectant, and you know how it is in politics. And so they were mocking him and actually making fun of him like crazy. But you guys have to read this. This is one of those articles again that were censored. This is the act of censorship, and the information actually has been around for a long time. So he is saying 1940. So the message here is, we want to tell you guys that light, energy is one of the modalities that are actually going to come out as one of the modalities that we should be using, because it's easier to use, it's readily available, and it's very safe. But nevertheless, depending on what you're treating, you still need the advice or the guidance of doctors or practicing physicians who are actually familiar or well versed on this kind of thing. Okay, next slide. I think we have just a couple more, and then next slide, Francis. Okay. Oh, this is very interesting. I just want to emphasize. So this is died suddenly people, and you see all these young women, they are social media influencer, and I think and they're all in their 30s, early 30s, mid 30s, from the US, from Colombia, from Brazil. Four of them, I don't know exactly which one. And if you want the name, go to the video. I think this is in YouTube, this guy, E on Nutrition. um, Four of these ladies, young women, they have all heart attacks, died of heart attacks, and then two of them died of turbo cancer. So either you get the heart attack and turbo cancer. I'm going to tell you, remember this, okay? I'm going to say this again. Oh, and by the way, this is, I think, the name of this guy, the one with this is husband and wife. That is Stuart. He's a Fox reporter. And both of them, one after the other, diagnosed with turbo cancer. Kakainis, ah. So this is, and both of them are young. They're not, they're in their 40s, early 40s, or mid 40s. So, anyways, going back to why is it still happening up to now, even after 3 years after the rollout? But we don't know if they're getting what do you call this, booster? No, the only way that this can happen, or two ways that it can happen, that I think as the mechanism why they're suddenly dying. Number one, if you're getting the booster, then over again, you're going to produce a lot of the antibodies that will be attacking the cells that are producing the spike protein. And usually, it's in the blood vessel. It creates a lot of inflammation. It attacks the blood, any cells in your body. That are producing the spike protein. So it will create inflammation over again. So if you give booster or get booster of the vaccine, that can happen. What's the other way? Number two is when you get infected with the COVID, because these people, they have, once you have the vaccine, you're gonna have most likely a pre-existing autoimmune disease. And this is what I've been emphasizing to a lot of people, that this year, at least my population, the older people, they have autoimmune disease is very high. It's almost like every day, like yesterday, no, Thursday, I saw 15 vaccine injured in one day. And I think only 3 did not have autoimmune. That is so high. And so when you have autoimmune, you get the COVID virus infection, it's going to activate your autoimmunity, and it will attack the organs that is affected. And if these girls had a mild myocarditis that healed, or they were able to overcome it during the vaccination, if you get the COVID virus, if you get infected, that is going to get reactivated, and that's how you can die from that. And usually they die because of the malignant arrhythmia, which is called ventricular fibrillation, and they don't wake up, or they just drop. And so it can continue and continue. And so we need to do something. These are the things that we need to actually mitigate, because it's still happening. So autoimmune, and then production again of the spike protein after you've gotten a booster or you get infected. That is what's happening. And you have to remember, you're going to get infection to other viruses that can cause myocarditis. And if you already have a weak heart, then that's what's going to happen. So it is very sad, and it's very tragic that we're losing a lot of young people because of this vaccine. It needs to be stopped, okay? And do not comply whatever vaccine they're gonna implement or deploy again. Look at this, husband and wife. He was diagnosed first, and then the wife got diagnosed shortly after. So, and then this is another joke. Portugal will have a digital vaccination card. Okay, go and you guys, Portugal, kill yourself. Okay, but the guy is saying here, no thanks. So that's what we have to say as well. Okay, next slide. This is just to show you, Sally was saying. Sally, do you want to say something about this?
Yeah, this is really tragic. This is talking about or showing the incidence of cancer in young people aged 0 to 54. And it's showing that since the rollout of the COVID vaccines, the cancer cases have accelerated and it's increasing exponentially now. So
Yeah.
there's no explanation except the COVID vaccines for this. This is unprecedented, and this is a very, very bad sign.
Yeah. So you guys understand, this is the cancer from 0 to 50. Look at that. It's very clear. It's just like Sally's statistics in the Philippines, that since the vaccine rollout, this is the trend. It's increasing exponentially.
So, I mean, this is not good news for people who've been vaccinated, but people should also understand that you can take measures to affect your risk, and that comes with using the supplements to counter the spike protein, looking at your diet, looking at your sleep, looking at your lifestyle. It's not a hopeless case, but what we want this to do is not to make you scared, but to trigger you into action to reclaim your health.
Okay, I think, is it the last slide, Francis? And then we can say night-night. Okay.
Yay, we've run half an hour over time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sally, we made it.
We did it again, yet again. Thank you, Doc.
I know. So, we've discussed a lot, and Francis was saying, Francis was saying, what are we going to discuss tonight? But we always talk a lot, and a lot of things to put out there. Sally, any last words? Any parting words? It's time to say goodnight.
Yeah, I think I want to remind people you need to question everything. Talk to your neighbors, be kind to your neighbors, talk to strangers. We need to rebuild our communities. And we build our communities by refusing to be separated. No more social distancing. Talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. Let's just reach out. My kids are embarrassed. I talk to everybody. And I told my kids, when I was your age, I was embarrassed about my mom talking to everyone as well. But you know what? This is how we build community. So let's do it. And take control of your health. Do what you need. And look after your diet. Look after your exercise. Look after your thoughts. Develop your spirituality, your relationship with God, or whatever your belief is. Okay? We are all here for a reason. We are here because we are meant to be here. So let's do it. And someone asked, will the Congress hearing regarding excess deaths resume? Ron, I hope so, but we have not heard anything yet, so we don't know. Don't know yet. It was not finished, but we don't have a date for it to continue.
Yeah. Okay, Sally, thank you so much again for being with us tonight. Okay, the only thing that I'd like to emphasize to everyone, and I know we always give you like the bad news and the bad things, and it's very inflammatory sometimes. The things that we say are like very negative, and it's as if there's no solution to the problems. the reason why we always say this is because, and I say this all the time to all my patients as well, because they're crying. The patients are crying when I tell them, I cannot stop the vaccine yet because it's the one causing the problem, the havoc, and all the things, the complications that we see. And I apologize to them, but it's only this way when we present to you what's really going on that we can put forth solution. If we don't face this, and if we don't talk, even though it's something very negative, very painful, and very difficult to swallow, really, because a lot of us, especially for those people who were forced to get vaccinated for whatever reason, but we are exposing the hideousness of these people. And this is also one way for me as a practicing physician to actually ask for help, not only from you, because you guys, you as a viewers, as a patient, you're actually helping me too, because I'm learning from you. I'm learning from the presentation of your cases, and I try to do everything, whatever I can, but it's very slow because I have to wait and see what happens to this treatment. We're creating protocols, anything protocols that will alleviate your symptom. The only thing that I can say for sure is we're actually decreasing the symptomatology of people, because that's the one that the symptoms, the more symptoms you have, the higher the lower the quality of life, at least in my population here, in the retirees. And so if we are giving you all the bad news, I apologize for that, but we have to face it. We have to bring this to the open, discuss it with not only with you, but I'm hoping that the right authorities are actually listening to us as well. Baka makonsensya naman, makonsensya sila. And then these are the things, these are not misinformation, these are the actual experiences that we have. And obviously, all the things that we are presenting to you are corroborating with one another, no? So, maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Maraming salamat, Pilipinas. And stay strong and listen. And Sally, I cannot thank you enough for being with me all the time. She wasn't here last time because she was in Hong Kong.
I was in Hong Kong having a company dinner. So, back again.
Yeah, she was in Hong Kong. And so, magpatuloy po tayo, laban lang, and lakasan nyo all the time ang mga loob ninyo. And you have to really, do not comply. Do not comply, or we'll talk about it again, and we'll tell you what's the best thing to do, at least the best thing for that particular moment. But maraming salamat po, and hope to see you again next time. And don't forget to attend the what do you call this? The detox fair, the detox and well-being fair of World Council for Health Florida in when is it? October 12th, 2024. And I will update you as we get more speakers, I believe. Okay. And thank you so much. Good night, Pilipinas. Magandang gabi, matulog ng maayos. And good morning, America. And I have to continue working. I have things to do today. So good night. Good night, Philippines.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah.
Take care.
We love
Sleep
you.
well.
Yeah, we love you all.
Love you all.
Mhm.